what the hell is a Luddite anyway? What does that even mean? So it begins with a legend from 1779. And there was a young boy named Ned Ludd who was alleged to have lived in the English Midlands around Nottingham. The story is basically he's a defiant boy boss who refused to kowtow to a machine that made him do extremely unnatural, repetitive work for hours on end for basically no pay.
Then get hit for it when he's
And they get hit for it, right? And eventually those who took inspiration from Ned Ludd's story would refer to themselves as Luddites. They're the Swifties of their day.
Hey everybody, welcome to 500 Open Tabs. I'm Hannah Hillam.
And I'm Kaveh Taherian. Welcome back to the show. Hannah, we just got back from San Diego Comic-Con at the time of this recording. How are you feeling? Have you recovered? Did you get a little bit of R&R, which is ranch?
I did.
And,
ranch and Rudolph.
I don't know.
Rudolph
the red-nosed reindeer covered in ranch dressing.
Rudolph the red-nosed ranch deer. Rudolph the ranch-nosed...
Ranch
anyway,
deer.
Yes. Ranch deer. Again, we were like, this is our second take on this intro. And again, it's bad in a different way, but we're going to keep pushing through. It's bad in a different way. If you want to hear the first one, go to our Patreon. But I'm not totally recovered yet. I'm in the phase where like whenever I sit down, I just find myself slowly like drifting off. Yeah, like medicated,
dozing
caffeinated,
off,
whatever.
Not dazing off, sorry. Yeah.
Dazing
off, like dazing confused. Dozing off, you're like the dozer. Yeah. You're dozing. Bleh.
And my kids are like, we haven't seen you in a week. Play with us. And I'm like, sorry, you guys are on your own.
You're like, here's the iPad. Go.
No way.
Go get some liquor. I don't have time for this.
Go to the liquor store and get mom some cigarettes.
Go get a six-pack. Yeah, exactly.
Don't get on an iPad. Go to the liquor store like a regular kid would do.
I agree. At least they're seeing the outside. It's great. They're not looking at their phones. At least they're living in the moment.
They're learning not to get into strangers' vans firsthand. You know, it's fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a crazy convention. You were there for like half of it, which was really fun.
Yeah, it was fun. I was there for the Mina panel on Saturday, and then you were gracious enough to allow me to sit with you for a couple of hours and like sell some of my own wares as like a guest. And then it eventually, of course, turned into like, I'll just sit here for the rest of the day because I actually hate going to conventions. I only like being behind the table.
Every year you're like, yeah, maybe I'll walk around. And then you do, and you come back and you're like, I hate this.
I hate conventions. I only like working conventions. Yeah. I told somebody, who was I talking to? I think I was talking to Jordan. I was like, remember in Field of Dreams where he like steps off the field? Have you seen Field of Dreams?
No. Of course not.
Of course Spoiler alert. It's like they play on the magical baseball field, but then as soon as he steps off the baseball players. Field. Yes, exactly.
Yeah, I've seen this.
That's like me. Ago. Like if I step past the table, like onto the floor, all of a sudden I age and become like decrepit and I'm like, I'm going to die. But if I get behind the table, I'm young and happy and playing my fun game.
It's true though. It's true. And you'd come back and you'd be like, I hate this. It's like, you can just sit here, which was good because it gave Sean, my husband, who was assisting me this year, a chance to go and, buy whatever he wanted and also hate the floor.
Yeah.
He came back to the table and he was like, this place is insane. I'm like, yeah dude.
I don't understand how people do it. But thank you to everybody who came out. We had a few people who were, more than a few people, I should say.
Yeah.
I think we might have to start, we can't say, tens of fans anymore because if all tens of them were at San Diego Comic-Con coming up to us talking about the
crazy.
Show.
We might
Somebody
have
repeatedly came back to talk about the November rain because I wasn't there. He was really excited. I forget his name.
Oh, no.
Was it Ricardo? Shout out to that guy.
Not at all.
No?
I don't think it's Ricardo.
I remember.
It was something like that. Yeah, he came back 3 times. And I was like, he's going to be here tomorrow. And he's like, I love that episode.
It's nice to hear
I love all 3 of those. Yeah, and I was like, those were great. And he's like, even though there was other tabs, I'm like, oh, nice. I didn't tell you that part where he was like, even with the other tabs in the episode, I still loved. I'm like, mine? My tabs? But it was, he was really sweet. But we got to see Jazz.
Jazz was there. We had our hangout. So we started doing this thing where every year in San Diego, it's become a tradition now.
It has.
Where like on the Saturday, we just hang out. We'll just do like an open invitation to whoever's like a fan of the podcast and also our own friends as well. We just do like a kind of hang. I think the longer this goes, we'll probably have this become more of like a formal thing. Maybe we'll get to a point where we can rent the space out if enough people subscribe to the Patreon.
Yeah, guys.
Are we going to become San Diego Comic-Con a party hoster people?
We better.
That would be weird. Yeah.
Honestly, I could see that for us.
I could see it too.
Just because we would do it anyway. But so we had Jazz there, and Jazz got to meet both our spouses who were both there. Celeb sighting. the quiet, kind, chill spouses that somehow married us, despite all their best interest at, whatever. Yeah. It was funny. They were like talking, and I was like, oh, they're very similar.
They're conspiring against us.
Yeah. So speaking of, I don't know, this podcast, do you have a tab for me today?
Yes, Hannah, thank you for doing all your Coney Island series for the summer. That was really fun. I really enjoyed it, not just because it was interesting, but also because I didn't have to prep anything. But now, unfortunately, or I guess fortunately for the audience, I'm back and they get to hear a real tab.
They get to
otherwise,
you're like, this is about Coney Island and it's about the Infantorium.
I actually just went back and redid I was listening to this podcast called 500 Open Tabs 3 weeks ago, and it was about this elephant hotel that caught fire. And I thought I could do a better job than this racist person that was measuring head shapes while they were talking about it.
Elephant head shapes. I'm
Sorry,
only a eugenicist with elephants. Okay,
elephants specifically. No, yes, I'm back to it. Huge elephants. Anyway, so onto my tab. So lately, I've been hating on AI, as one does all the time.
Man.
Right?
You should just give it a chance. You know that's like what the world's going to right now. You're just going to get left behind.
Oh, so that's my next note here is that inevitably every conversation you have with somebody, that's the first thing they say. They say you're going to get left behind. AI is happening whether you like it or not. I'm actually really useless, and embracing AI allows me to sound like I contribute something to society, even though I totally don't. You know the drill. These are all the kinds of things that you hear.
If I bring up art at my job, that's literally all people talk about.
Really?
And then I lay into people where I'm like, oh, no, none of my friends have jobs. So tell me why it's good. Explain.
Yeah.
You
should.
So
as you should lay into them. But of course, I can ramble on about this. Okay, let's go ahead. Sorry, what were you going to say?
I was going to say, here's how I feel about AI really quick. You know when people are like big, long journeys and someone's just like, just leave me behind. And they lay down on the side of the road. That's me and AI. It's like, leave me. Leave me to die in the mountains. I don't want to go. Anyway, go on.
Of course, I can ramble on about this forever and for hours and hours, but for the sake of keeping it succinct, I want to address one specific part of it that I really hate.
Oh, okay.
Okay. AI, artificial intelligence, is too broad of a term, and it can mean a million different things, right? And actually, it's been deliberately marketed in such a way where if you oppose it, it sounds like you're against using computers to solve cancer, which, by the way, no one will ever pay for because there's no profit incentive for them to do that, but that's a whole different story.
You make more money when people die of cancer, by the way.
Exactly. Yeah. And also, it's not even intelligence. It's a bullshit label, right? All of it's a lie. And the mythical AGI, right, which is artificial general intelligence horseshit. Don't even get me started. That's not real. That's never going to happen. Yeah. That's all nonsense. But the point is, AI as a term is a catch-all, right?
Right.
And it's a catch-all used by tech monopolists like Sam Altman and Dario Amodei. That means that the very notion of you being against any aspect of it allows them and their sycophants to necessarily paint you as anti-tech.
Luddites.
Right? And Luddites, right. And more specifically, everyone's favorite top shelf regressive sounding insult, like you just said, Luddite. Yeah. And we've all been conditioned to get defensive when we're called a Luddite. And, we got to clarify, we're not against progress or the idea of technology. We love technology. We use it every day. And then it's like, well, then you're a hypocrite because AI is the natural progression, blah, blah, blah. And by that point, you're basically on the defensive and your argument's kind of invalid. But dear listeners,
describing my last 2 years right here.
Honestly, that's what keeps happening. But let me tell you, that's all a psyop.
Well, yeah.
Because most people, especially the ones who throw that term around, probably never even bothered to look up what a Luddite even was in the first place.
Oh, I'm so excited. I'm so excited. I love the Luddites. Okay.
And after preparing today's tab, I can tell you with great joy, we're taking it back, baby.
Yes! Dude, all I want to do is destroy machines, okay?
Yeah, exactly. I am proud to follow in the footsteps of the Luddites, and never again will I be made out to sound like some anti-tech person by a bunch of limp-dicked, fascist bootlickers who lack the imagination or any kind of internal worldview to pursue a career in the arts. Shut up!
All of you shut up. Oh, I can't draw, so I'm going to make a computer do it. Go, get a life.
Oh, you hate technology.
Learn. Okay, wait. Are you talking about the Luddites today?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
And of course, no revolution comes without sacrifice, Hannah. And this podcast is no different. So, I will temporarily have to put my beef aside and do a tab that takes place in your favorite country in the history of the world. Unfortunately, we're going to have to go to England for this one.
Yeah, you are. I was going to say, you're going to talk about the Luddites today?
I have to talk about
Did
the
you get
English.
hit on the head? Did somebody hit you on the head?
I don't. Listen, a broken clock is right twice a day as well, right? So in this case, the English. Yeah. I have to give you credit for this one.
Where they're right is usually when it comes to stuff like this, where it's like the working class, English working class is like, wait a second, we're bad? These people are bad. Yeah. Okay, let's hear it.
And even though this takes place a couple hundred years ago, almost every element of it is going to feel like it was plucked from the headlines just last week.
I'm doing my best to be as chill as possible right now.
Don't be chill. Be excited. Who cares?
I'm so excited for this.
Good.
I'm so excited. Okay.
So my first question, which may have been yours at the time that you first heard about the Luddites, is what the hell is a Luddite anyway? What does that even mean?
Right.
Do you know what it means? You don't have to tell me if you do.
I'm not going to tell you. I want to hear you say it. It's been a while. So the last time but what got me into reading about Luddites was like 10 years ago. Did you ever play BioShock?
Yes, briefly. I wasn't like super into all the BioShock games, but I have played it.
Yeah, I wasn't either, but I played BioShock Infinite, and somebody accused someone of being a Luddite, and I was like, what's that? And that's when I first looked it up, and I was like, oh, crazy. Anyway.
So it begins with a legend from 1779. And there was a young boy named Ned Ludd who was alleged to have lived in the English Midlands around Nottingham. Nottinghamshire. And Ned, what did you say?
Nottinghamshire.
Is that what Nottingham's short for? Nottinghamshire? Nottingham, like Sheriff of Nottingham, Nottingham.
Oh, right. Yeah, like Robin Hood?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. And young Ned, he was learning to operate a knitting frame as part of his apprenticeship in the cloth trade.
Whoa.
Now, I don't know how old Ned was, but he was a boy. He
was probably like
more or
9.
Less. Yeah, he might have been anywhere from 9 to 15, let's say, somewhere around there.
This was the trade my family was involved in.
Was it really?
Yeah, weaving in the Midlands. No joke.
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
That's funny.
And then they all got put out of work.
Yes. Spoiler alert. Now, unsurprisingly, Ned, being a young boy, he wasn't super into knitting for 1,000 hours a day. He was a kid. And he wanted nothing more than to 6'7" and spend all of his parents' money on Roblox. He didn't want to sit there and knit.
Mom, I just want to go on Roblox and get exploited by an older man. That's what Roblox is, by the way.
Exactly. Yeah, and you spend money for it, by the way.
Yeah, back in the day, you used to get traffic.
You pay exactly. Back then, you used to get traffic for free. Now you have to pay for it.
You could just go outside and get traffic for free. Now you have to have your mom's money to pay for. Anyway, go on.
Terrible. But anyway, so he didn't want to do it, so he's not doing a good job. And so eventually Ned's boss, he's like, bro, you barely did any work, and there's nothing for me to even take credit for. What the shit?
Oh.
So he basically lashed the shit out of poor young Ned. He just beats the shit out of him, hits him with lashes.
Yeah.
Right? Because this is late 1700s England. Just beat the shit out of child laborers.
When did the Industrial Revolution officially start? Was it the late 1700s?
Yeah, it's around this time.
Okay, interesting. Okay.
That's the giant, disgusting, smoky cloud hanging over all of this, if you will.
That fills your lungs and kills you when you're 20. Yeah.
100%. And, Ned, he got his ass beat. But did Ned go home and cry into his pillow that was probably made of leaves? No. What did Ned do?
He would have ruined his leaf pillow. You can't just cry into your pillow.
Ned, he got revenge.
Oh, yes, he did.
He grabbed a hammer and went back to work and smashed the shit out of his boss's knitting frame.
Yes.
And afterwards, he promptly fled into Sherwood Forest to hide out.
There's got to be something. This is interesting. Why is this area like the working class legend area of the England? You know what I mean? Where it's like Robin Hood and you're gonna get into it. Go on.
No, you answered your own question.
Okay.
So there's no evidence that Ned Ludd actually existed. There's no historical record of him, but most likely some version of this happened.
Yeah.
And of course, like you just said, Robin Hood is there. They're in Sherwood Forest, so it's like very easy to kind of repeat this myth,
right,
and build it and make it sort of more contemporary, right, and sort of update it for the time. It's Christopher Nolan's Odyssey in 2026, if you will.
Have you seen that yet? Have you been forced to see it yet? Okay.
No, only because I wanted to see it in IMAX, and the IMAX tickets were sold out for 1,000 years. So I'm gonna go. I think next week is when I finally have tickets for it. So I'm not protesting it. I just have not been able to.
Oh no, I know.
See it in the
I had no idea.
format.
My neighbor just was like, "We're going," and turns out it was on opening night. And I'm like, "Oh,
it's
great."
One of the only times I think I've ever heard you going to see a film like on the opening day.
You know, I used to do that when I was younger all the time, like college.
I believe it. But anyway, so this was like, there's no formal, no one knows who came up with it. No one knows who Ned Ludd is. But this is sort of the general theory is that like it's probably mashed together and they're like taking elements from like, oh yeah, he beat him up and then went and hid in Sherwood Forest because that's the thing. But
that's where you hide when you want to beat up rich people or like destroy rich people's stuff.
Yeah, and it makes a lot of sense. And real or not, the story gave people a hero to rally around, right?
Yeah, oh yeah.
The story is basically he's a defiant boy boss who refused to kowtow to a machine that made him do extremely unnatural, repetitive work for hours on end for basically no pay.
For nothing, and then get hit for it when he.
And they get hit for it, right? And eventually, those who took inspiration from Ned Ludd's story would refer to themselves as Luddites, right? They're the Swifties of their day.
Don't you dare! I don't think Ned Ludd ever made everybody make generic friendship bracelets and worship a Nazi princess.
You don't know what they were doing in Sherwood Forest. They might have been making Nazi. They were probably making friendship bracelets in the woods the entire time.
I just like calling Taylor Swift a Nazi princess because it pisses so many people off.
It's true. But yes, so essentially people were like, well, I'm a follower of the essence of what Ned Ludd did. I'm now a Luddite. That's where the term comes from. So it's funny to me how much of this shit has been misinterpreted. Because really, when you break it down, this is a story about like child labor.
Yeah.
And this kid being whipped and he lashed out at his master for being an abusive asshole, right?
In a very good, normal way. Like this is what
it's like it's a logical, appropriate response to all those things. But people today are like, oh, clearly Ned needed to embrace knitting frames because they're the future, whether he liked it or not. And like they completely missed the point of the story.
Yes. It wasn't that the knitting frames were the future. It was that they were being exploited when they were using them.
The technology was used to exploit people and steal their labor. It's not so much that the technology itself was in and of itself bad. It was a neutral thing. Right?
Yeah. Oh, interesting. I like seeing it that way because it definitely does feel like everything's evil all the time. And I feel like I have to take a stance, a complete like black and white stance where it's like, no, I have to be against this, but I don't. It's just that the way that it's being used is.
And that's what they want you to do. That's what they understand it to be. They want you to be basically it's like, I just turned you into an enemy. If it's George W. Bush, you're either with us or against us.
Right.
That's it. There's no third option where you're like, no, this isn't the way that it should be done.
It's so easy to fall into that too. Where it's
exactly. Like, we've all been victims of it.
Oh yeah. Like I need to be against this completely. Anyway.
So basically by the early 1800s, the Industrial Revolution, as you mentioned, it's fully like it's in full swing. It's really ramped up in England. And suddenly all these towns and villages where people had been doing lots of clothing and fabric work for generations are getting squeezed out by entrepreneurs who are able to take out loans from the bank to buy newly invented technologies that had automated their skills to about like 50% or probably even less quality and could be essentially operated by scabs or people with no training or young kids.
Oh, geez.
Not that young, not like 6-year-olds or anything, but like, if you're basically just like, I don't have to pay this person a full wage.
Right. Because they're a kid. And also it's like really sad because like everyone needed money because of this. And so everyone sent their kids to work. Like there was no other choice.
Yeah. It's a crisis they created too.
Yeah. Awful.
Furthermore, this is what I thought was particularly interesting, right? England, on top of all this, they're fully at war with France, right? This is the Napoleonic Wars had just started, I believe.
Yeah. Okay.
And as a part of this war, England sets a bunch of tariffs on people who are doing business with France, which of course is the United States. Okay?
Yeah.
And so all of a sudden, the French and the United States, who were big buyers of textile stuff from England, can't do business with them.
I was going to say also, England's main export for its almost entire existence was wool and textiles.
That's exactly right. That was my next line. I was going to say, it's literally their biggest export. It's okay. I'm just saying that's literally what's happening right now. I know it's England, Hannah, and you're really excited to chime in about your favorite country of all time. And maybe I'll let you do it more. Hey, Hannah, anything else you want to tell us about England and how much you love their cuisine?
I don't know anything about it.
Anyway, so now there's war that's very unpopular. There's machines coming in that are trying to replace people's jobs. There's tariffs that are extremely unpopular. And you ready for this? To add insult to injury, there was a couple of years where there was a bit of a micro pandemic.
No. Are you serious?
Smallpox. Smallpox had become a huge deal at that point.
Really?
Yeah.
I kind of forgot about smallpox. That was awful.
Yeah.
Dude.
So all this is kind of happening at the same time. And there's like these terrible crop yields for a couple of years, right?
Oh no!
This is what I mean. Like, you could have just taken this straight out of the headlines of like the past 6 years.
Where's the supply chain issues? Those are coming, right? Those got to be coming. Wow.
Well, technically, there's no supply chain yet, but yes.
I know.
Yeah, it's so all this is happening at the same time.
Insane.
It's insane. It's insane. And so like inflation spiked, right? Everyone's out of work. There's all this wool and clothing and shit. And people were like, what the hell are we supposed to do with all of this? Meanwhile, the parallels don't stop there. King George III, he's fully lost his mind.
He's insane. They keep him in a room. They keep him in a room by himself.
Yeah. The Mad King loses his mind.
Oh, no.
And so he has this dipshit son, like George IV. Yeah, honestly.
This is like, oh, no. What, is the Mad King wearing diapers and rambling on TV now? Like, what's going on? Like, what's this?
Yes.
Anyway, his son, you said?
His son takes over, George IV, George Foreman. He takes over, and he's like, he's a dumbass rich kid. He's like one of these asshole influencers who are like, oh, I go to different restaurants and only post videos of me eating like the most expensive thing on the menu. Like, that's the kind of level of like totally wasteful, right?
Yes.
He has absolutely no interest in governing anything.
No.
He like very famously,
or having kids,
or doing anything of any use to anybody. He's just like, I got all this money. We need to make the money keep coming. I gotta basically exploit this as much as I can so I can get caviar licked off my balls or whatever it is that he was doing all day long.
That's very French of him. He likes he likes being role playing as the enemy. Anyway,
so he's a total piece of shit, right? Nothing. Yeah. So what's like an English textile worker to do, right? The government, they're not doing shit. And on top of that, it's really easy to become an entrepreneur that displaces entire communities in the name of quote unquote progress.
Jeez.
Right? They're incentivizing you. The banks are basically giving out loans that apparently weren't that hard to repay because they're all incentivizing everybody to essentially industrialize. So you had to pick a side to survive. And remember, for these textile workers, it was much more than just wages, right? It's not just money. It's also like the Industrial Revolution was bringing much, much, much shittier workmanship to absolutely everything. The quality of everything was like tanking. And people had studied
fast, and didn't matter how it came out, right? Is that
it wasn't
why?
It wasn't fast. It was cheap.
Oh, okay.
That's what it was. And also fast. So they were trying to essentially like, I'll get into it at the end, but like, you flood the market, right, with shit, and all of a sudden the value of everything goes down. Like this is something that we've seen over and over again. Meanwhile, these tradespeople, they'd studied for years and years to reach a certain level of skill. It was a point of pride. It was their identity, and it had been that way for like generations, right?
Also, they'd pass it down. Like people would just learn from their fathers and their fathers. You know, like, it was a family trade.
Yeah. You apprenticed under somebody like your dad or whoever, your mom, and like they had apprenticed somebody. It's like, so you learn all the nuances and like the technicalities and all this crazy stuff. It's not like you figure it out in one generation. It takes many generations to get very, very good at this kind of stuff.
And you can't you're just getting that, like simplifying that down into like, okay, now this like 10-year-old is going to come work this knitting machine. And like you throw away like hundreds of years of craftsmanship.
Yeah, exactly. And they basically are like, oh, okay, well, you need to accept this vastly inferior version of the thing that your whole bloodline has spent generations perfecting, or you can die. Like that's literally what they're telling them.
Right. Oh, man.
And also to the point I was making at the beginning, remember, like these people are not against the idea of technology as a way to help them do their jobs. Right. And I didn't quite understand what I was reading because I was trying to understand it because I was like, well, my job is not to figure out what like a person in the textile industry in the 1800s is, but the TLDR is basically like, why can't they build a machine to do X so we can pump out better quality shit for everyone instead of having it do Y, which just replaces us and makes everything way shittier, right? Like there is a middle ground between the two of those things, but the industrialists and the capitalists and the entrepreneurs, they're not doing any of that. They're just like, no, this is the thing that we want because it allows us to scoop up the most amount of money from the most amount of people. And also it effectively is just a way to get around standard labor practices. That's what they're doing.
Oh yeah. No, it's how can we get the most money with the least amount of consequences possible.
Yeah. And so all these people, all these textile workers, they got together, they reached across the aisle, and they both really listened to each other, and they stopped vilifying the wealthy, and everybody was able to find common ground.
Wonderful.
Problem solved.
I just love when things work out like that.
Yeah. We got to just listen to people, you guys. We got to listen to the guy who wants to kill you and your family and everything that you've ever stood for and steal all of your assets and your art and your meaning and your soul, because that person has a point of view who should be listened to. Hannah.
Yeah. And they earned that point of view with all the money and yeah, it's I want to. Here's the thing. It's like this is the thing. If you just keep like rewinding back to like the plague, this is when this kind of all started, where like it messed up the social order, which was good because it meant people could, there was upward mobility, but it kind of made it so that people were just like, it's almost like a free for all. Like, how do we move forward in life, and the opening up of the world, everything combining to make this insane, money-driven, exploitative society. I don't know. It was all just laid down. It was all laid out for it. It was a perfect storm. I wouldn't say it was inevitable, but like, I don't know. This is the kind of thing that's just fascinating to me. Where it's like, how did this all start? And how is it still happening?
I mean, I think there's patterns that just will keep repeating, obviously, because there's some flaw in humanity and wealth and getting any kind of money or any kind of power.
Right.
That, like, you'll kind of fall to the same patterns over and over again. But
no,
obviously, no one reached across the aisle to listen to the other side because the other side is literally trying to destroy you. I don't know what there is to discuss. So in 1802, a man named John Jones, he had a factory in Littleton. And he had basically bought like an ass load of automated machines to decrease the workers' wages. Oh. Basically the 1802 equivalent of trying to replace them with AI, right?
Oh, yeah.
And the workers striked. Jones doubled down on more automation and while they were striking. And so they came back to show them what's good. And remember, at this time, forming unions was illegal. You were not allowed to do it in England. Yes.
Ew, okay. That's weird. Don't they have like guilds or whatever?
Not at this time. I guess for some reason they decided it was going to be illegal. So according to the manager of that factory, a young man who was 18 years old named Thomas Helliker held him at gunpoint.
Yeah, he did.
While the workers burned the building to the ground.
Yes! Well, that gives me so much like excitement. Dude.
And so owner John Jones had no choice but to relent and keep wages where they belonged and abandon plans for automation.
Wow. So it worked.
And pretty soon, there were machine smashing incidents popping up more and more as
data
word
centers
was spreading.
Down.
Yeah. And the Luddites, they're kind of like cheeky and fun, right? They leaned into the lore. They started sending each other letters that ended with Ned Ludd's office, Sherwood Forest. Sometimes they'd march. Yeah, they would march in women's clothes, calling themselves General Ludd's wives.
Okay, that's fascinating. Wait, really? They'd like cross-dress?
Yeah.
I love it.
And at one point, authorities had a full-on like FBI's most wanted list because everything was about like Ned Ludd, General Ned Ludd. So they're like, oh, we got to capture Ned Ludd. Like he's clearly the person that's orchestrating all of this stuff. No, it was just like a joke.
That's genius.
Yeah.
It's like, this is the guy we're following. He's not real.
He's not real, but all the authorities couldn't actually figure that out. They didn't understand.
Yes.
A lot more incidents of people smashing machines, burning stuff down. A couple of these sieges resulted in deaths, not that many.
Yeah.
But as a result of stuff. But certainly that was not their MO. It was not to go around killing people. It was strictly the battle that they had was with the machines. And even the battle with the machines was not about the machines. It was about the people who were using those machines to exploit them. So it was about, it was very clearly about like, these are the parameters of what we're doing. We're not here to hurt anybody. We're not here to do any of this stuff. We're here to destroy these things that are being brought in by the bosses to destroy our lives. Right?
Yeah. Yep. I see. Sorry, I keep interrupting, but that I had just never seen it that way because you always hear about the Luddites. Like from what I read, like back then, it was like, oh, they just destroyed machines. They were against progress, but you forget like they did a great job hiding that. Like whoever wanted to like rewrite the history later was like, oh, these idiots were trying to keep us from like becoming this superpower and like industry and stuff like that. But really, it's not that. It was just like they didn't want to die. They just didn't want to die. Like
they just didn't want to die.
Exploiting me.
And also it's like, you don't get any say in it. And this is why, like, whatever, I'll ramble about this later too, a little bit, but it's like every time you watch a primary or you watch like a presidential debate or you watch like anybody on stage and they all say the same thing and they don't do anything, which is like, oh yeah, like technical progress is coming, but like we need to spend money to update, we need to train workers to do blah, like, you know what I mean? Like we need to teach them how to use those machines. They're not doing any of that. They're actually going fully robotics at this point.
They never have.
No, they never will.
They never will. And we're going to have people learn how to operate the machines. It's like, no, you're not.
No. Why would you pay somebody a union rate to run the machine? The whole point is that you're trying to get rid of that person who's getting paid union labor or union wages to bring in somebody like in the, some other country across the world to run it like through automation and eventually get rid of them too.
Yeah.
So that you don't have to pay anybody anything.
The most unemployable person right now is a software engineer.
Yeah.
Because it's the same thing where it's like they trained these things in AI and now what? They don't need them.
No. Anyway, so, it was fun. They were sending around letters. They were smashing machines. They were lighting stuff on fire. It was kind of fun and awesome. And for a minute, it seemed like things were going to go the right way. It was all going to be Gucci and fun, but not for somebody like Thomas Helliker. Remember Thomas Helliker?
Yeah.
He was the guy that allegedly held that the factory manager at gunpoint, right?
Oh no.
He's taken to trial and he's convicted.
Oh.
Right? But as it turns out, he wasn't even at the factory burning that night.
Well, where was he? Just holding more people at gunpoint?
No, he was getting drunk with his friends.
Yeah, he was. Hell yeah. Fun.
In fact, there was multiple people went on the record. They're like, he had gotten so shit-faced, they had to lock him in the room so he wouldn't come out anymore. So not only was he not at the fire, he was literally like on timeout, like in his room because he had drank too much.
This guy's a legend. I love this guy.
Also, he was a teenager. Remember, he's 18 years old. There was no way that they would have let some dipshit, like 18-year-old kid be in charge of holding the factory manager hostage. Like, that's just not how these things ever would have gone. They would have had somebody a little bit, you know what I mean? Somebody with like more experience or something. Like, you just wouldn't give a kid that job. No. You would give it to somebody who's had more experience and like understands like the gravity of that.
Exactly. Well, like, so he was just like the fall guy or what? He was like the...
Yep.
Oh, sad.
And it didn't matter to John Jones and the factory owning class. They just went ahead anyway. And Thomas Helliker was hanged on his 19th birthday.
No, they killed him?
They straight up killed him.
Why is that so shocking to me? It shouldn't be. That's awful.
Yep.
Ugh. Here's the thing with the British Empire is that they were terrorizing the world and they were also terrorizing their own people.
Yeah.
It's just bad
that
all
tends
around.
To be the case. As I was saying, shit just got real, right? Thomas Helliker is hanged. And one of the articles that I pulled from is from Smithsonian Magazine. There's an author, his name is Richard Conniff. There's a quote that I thought was really interesting. He said, quote, "The Luddites were neither as organized nor as dangerous as authorities believed. They set some factories on fire, but mainly they confined themselves to breaking machines. In truth, they inflicted less violence than they encountered. In one of the bloodiest incidents in April 1812, some 2,000 protesters mobbed a mill near Manchester. The owner ordered his men to fire into the crowd, killing at least 3 and wounding 18.
Wow.
Soldiers killed at least 5 more the next day."
Classic rewriting of all of it.
And so while the Luddites are destroying machines, the factory owners were destroying Luddites, right?
Right.
Just straight up killing them. This is asymmetrical warfare.
It's awful, man.
And
it's a whole thing. It's like, oh, you damaged property. That's evil. It's like it goes back to that where it's like we're putting property above people. We have for a long time, and it's disgusting.
This is exactly where the state and the laws of private property really start to become weaponized against the working class. Yep.
From this.
Mm-hmm.
I'm getting pissed off right now.
You should. Mad. That's the entire point of this tab.
I am so angry. Like that. The machines are more important than a person.
Can't get in the way of progress, Hannah.
You can't. You know what? You're going to get left behind. You could be able to join or die because we're going to kill you.
Join or die.
That's what it is.
Parliament introduced the Destruction of Stocking Frames Act of 1812 that made machine breaking a capital offense.
Punishable by execution, I'm assuming. Obviously.
Yep.
Wow.
Lord Byron famously opposed it.
Oh, did
but
he?
Of course, it passed anyway.
Yeah. One poet is not going to... A poet who has like 5 girlfriends is not going to do any. Was he the one that was like free love? I can't remember.
I don't know. I don't know. Byron's complicated. But anyway. Yeah. But of course it passed. And by 1813, the Luddite rebellion was all but gone. Everyone started getting hanged, or in some instances, they were getting sent to Australia. Right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. They're just going into exile.
Wow.
And as always, the rich got richer and England transitioned into the beautiful, safe, and totally human rights respecting Industrial Revolution. It's just, and it's like, sorry, I'm like, I don't even know what to say. It's just, you're describing now. Yeah, exactly. But the lore of the Luddites never really left. But as you pointed out earlier, it has been kind of appropriated by the powers that be, and they've sort of chosen to focus on one part of it while conveniently leaving out the part of it that actually has like a moral center.
Yeah. Like they weren't just burning buildings for fun to destroy things. It was a protest.
Yeah. And I think the broader idea here that's been ignored is that being against tech that's creating a massive unregulated surveillance state where a small number of people can transfer wealth from the majority of the population to themselves and is also using this like St. Peter at the gates of heaven level of spying that they've done on all of us to create a psyop against you and your community doesn't make you like against the idea of like Photoshop running faster.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
You hate that thing. That doesn't have anything to do with this other thing. You're like, I don't like these things, but I'd like Photoshop to run faster, but without all of that.
Without all the AI. Or I don't want to accidentally click a button and then be like, okay, generating. I'm like, I don't want that. I don't want any of this.
Yeah.
No one asked for this.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes, I do. And it's like, it all gets, now I'm going to rant for a second, but like it all gets muddled up into like, oh, Hannah, that must mean you're against all digital art. Like I had someone ask me that at con.
Against digital art?
Yeah, they're like, oh yeah, digital art. And I had to be like, no, all of my stuff is digital. Like, what do you, no. Like, I'm not against digital. What? I'm not against digital art. That's an insane thing to think. I'm against somebody taking my job and thinking that's an okay thing to do. And literally all my friends being out of work right now. Like it could all, I'm watching it happen. The divide between these black and white factions where it's like, oh, you're anti-AI. That means you're anti all technology. And it's like, no, that's absolutely not what it is. I'm anti-exploitation. And
the problem too is that like the technologies that govern all these things are embedded into like literally every single aspect of our lives, right?
Yeah.
It's like, you know, smart refrigerators, Wi-Fi ovens, like child molester vision, aka meta glasses. Like it's all these things that like there's no escape from it, which is the problem, right? It's like integrated into so much stuff that like on some level you do end up coming across as against all tech, right?
Yeah.
But because all tech has the same cancer inside of it.
Yes.
Right. And it's like this cancer of exploitation. And like that's what the tech is being used for. But the idea of itself, of technology, of computers, of whatever has been kind of molested and turned into this other thing that it was never really like.
Well, that cancer was there already. It's been there since the Industrial Revolution. Like that's not, it's just it was always there and now it's infecting everything else and driving everything else. And it's like, that's like, we're losing the sight of what's actually the problem, which is greed. And
and not just that, but like, remember when I was talking about earlier that, you know, the textile workers were like, hey, it would be really cool if you could create machines that like did this thing,
right?
That would make it way more awesome. And like everybody could get high quality goods and it doesn't really cost more, as opposed to figuring out a way to just get rid of us. And then everybody gets paid like nothing. Yeah. Right. And I think the AI discussion is the same thing where it's like, no one's asking for us. Nobody who's in the arts, nobody who's in film, nobody's in like, you know, writing, drawing, any of that. No one's like, oh, we need you to create something that like generates. People are like, why don't you just generate the whole? And I'm like, I don't need help doing that. Also, it's like when people have shown me that crap, I'm like, I can just thumbnail it. Like it's faster for me to work it out on paper than it is to try and like, I always laugh at this because remember, it's like, we've talked about this before on the podcast where people trying to ask you to like explain what your process is or what you're trying to do. And I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't have like, if I knew how to explain what it is that I'm doing in words, I would just be writing it. But the fact that like your hand is drawing some weird shit is the whole point of it. So to be like, oh, well, you need to learn this skill of like telling a prompter and like explaining it. I'm like, that defeats the entire purpose of this thing.
If they think that's what art, like, I don't tell myself what to draw. You know what I mean? It's just that kind of comes out. Or like you're totally right. You really hit it on the head right there. Where it's just like, there's no translatable way to explain it. Like it's not words. That's why it's art.
Right. And, but even to that point, like I have a lot of suggestions that I could use for you know, Adobe or like, you know, printers or any of these companies where I'm like, who was I talking to? I was talking to somebody about this and they're like, you're against all AI for stuff. And I was like, no, you know what I want AI for? I was like, you know what I hate are color spaces. Like, you know what I hate is like having a color space that doesn't match up with like the printer. And I'm like, why doesn't AI go and like figure out like, or like can't there be some sort of database where every printer like uploads the profiles of printers that they have that they're using. And then like that can sync up to Photoshop. And then I can have like a proper like on-screen emulator of like, this is what the colors like as best as it can. You know what I mean? Like that's the kind of shit where I'm like, if you did that would cut out like 30 hours of every time I got to take something to print.
Yes.
Right. Because it's like that stuff's not automated. I mean, I like printing. It's just there's so much more tedious bullshit. But you know what that requires?
Yeah.
Well, you know what that requires, Hannah? That requires skill. And the people who like develop these don't have skill and they don't understand how any of these things work.
No.
And they've never actually done it. So they don't actually think to do any of that kind of shit. So they just go for like the lowest hanging fruit horse shit thing that no one wants. And then they develop that and then try and use that to make everything cheaper.
Well, they're trying to sell you creativity. They're trying to be like, this is what you can do. And it's like, that's not, it's all product. It's like,
that's all a psyop too. That's not even creativity. What they're selling, they're not even selling you that. What they're selling is shareholders. Like here's how we can inundate the market with dog shit on social media so we can keep people trapped as long as possible.
Yeah.
Because now they're looking at AI slop of like Walter White sucking off Tony Soprano while like Shrek jerks off in the corner in the cuck chair. And everyone thinks that's funny and sends it back and forth to everybody. Yeah.
Oh yeah. They took my job of like drawing smut from 2000s TV shows.
Now you can't feed your family. It's disgusting.
Now I can't feed my. No, I'm so proud to be called a Luddite.
Exactly.
And I'm trying not to. So can I share my family's history with this?
Is it English?
Of course it. Look at me.
Oh man.
What do you think it is?
About England? Yes, I'm kidding. Yes, go ahead.
No, so like we were in Leeds and we were weavers and we were pushed out of our homes because we couldn't afford our houses. Like we couldn't afford, like I found these records of us where we had homes and then we were pushed out of our village into Leeds to work in the factories because we were weavers in our village. We could no longer afford to live in our village and they wanted to, so we ended up renting these teeny tiny little houses, like tenements, not tenements. They're like workhouses. So the Hillams ended up having to move into a workhouse where their children died young or their wives would get sick. Like it was really bad. Like 10 people to a room kind of thing because they wanted to keep their job as weavers, but slowly no one could actually keep their job as weavers. And so they had to end up leaving and we came here to America or whatever, which was better. But like a lot of people died. Like there were like the Hillam, like I don't have much writing because we weren't educated, but from what I could find is that it was just 50 to 100 years of exploitation of them moving place to place, trying to keep their livelihood. Like, I think one of them ended up just making nails for a business, like just selling nails on the street because they're like, literally nothing else works. Everyone took my job. I can't have a job anymore. And it's like, I don't know, like if we were directly affected, I wouldn't be where I am right now if they weren't pushed out of the weaving industry, which, you know, it's crazy to think about because it's like, that's exactly what they all did. I could find a record of them having a homestead where they had this occupation, and then I can slowly track how they all got pushed out and how it resulted in death and misery and poverty.
Yeah.
Anyway.
And the amassing of wealth by a few people at the expense, and like suddenly people were living in like absolute insane
squalor
in a way that like, I was reading this book. It's called Blood in the Machine by Brian Merchant. It's very good. It was about Luddites and stuff. And it's interesting because you read it and you're like, okay, like these weavers, they were like, okay, they weren't rich by any means, but they were okay, well, these people, it was part of like, you had these communities that were very tight knit. Like they worked, everybody in the family worked.
Tight.
Yeah. I wasn't even trying to do that, but yes, thank you. They were tight knit. They were like, okay, well, their hours were flexible. They didn't have to work like 70-hour weeks. Like they all made a living. Everybody was happy. Like they were nice little towns, right? And like people had it wasn't just like your job got replaced. It was like a way of life got destroyed for the sake of factory owners owning a bunch of money. Like people who never had amassed that much wealth ever in the history of England, suddenly of the world, right? Which has only gotten worse.
Yeah.
Right. But it's like suddenly now you have, I mean, extrapolating it to today, it's like, okay, well, why are these people are all billionaires? But they're billionaires because capitalism aside, like once you really understand what the method of all of these giant companies has been, it's always been the same thing. It has been, you have a bunch of money that you can get, you can get cheap money that you can borrow. And you use that money to essentially flood the market and cheapen the value of everything. And then you put everybody else out of business. And then once everybody else is out of business, you jack up your price because you're a monopoly and you're the only one that's left. Because everybody else that was doing this doesn't have access to infinite money the way that you do. It's over and over again. That's effectively what this was.
Well, that's what they're going to do with
the 1800s
AI.
version of it.
It's like
that's what they've been doing for. That's what the entire tech model is.
Everyone's going to have to pay at some point. They're getting you, it's becoming something you can't live without, a lot of people, which, come on, grow up. And then they're going to make you start paying for it. And then... Oh, yeah, tokens. It's already happening, although I think it's going to, I don't know. That's a whole other discussion because I don't think that the amount of money that they're trying to, because they've dug themselves in so deep.
like OpenAI is like, we've all been complaining about this, but like you look at the numbers, you're like, this is going to be like a 2008 market crash again with the with the amount of money these people.
It's not worse.
Like this is such a scam on like a gigantic level that like this will never turn a profit ever.
No.
And so they're just going to have to do some weird jujitsu-y like lying shit, or like it's just going to fold into some other scam of it. But like,
so the way to
the chickens will come home to roost eventually. Yeah.
It just sucks. It just sucks because as we see with the Industrial Revolution, so many people died. Like it was just ended up like no one talks about the human cost of it. Like we are where we are today because hundreds and hundreds of thousands of poor people's lives were ruined. Their lives were ruined, or they died. Or, you know, like we talked about with the Infantorium episode where women were forced to go back to the factory. So they started having cow's milk for their kids, which then killed their kids because of all the bacteria, where it's like just like this. The push of progress is destructive, which it doesn't have to be. But that's the way we've been doing it. Well, that's what I'm saying.
It's not progress. That's my whole point. Is that like it's
actually
not progress. It's being marketed as progress. But like, what is your idea of progress? Your idea of progress is like a business making as much money as possible.
Right.
No matter what the cost. Right. And I'm like, that's not progress. That's stealing. That's exploitation.
Exactly. Dude, I did not know all of these details about the Luddites. That's really
It's crazy.
Cool.
I didn't even there's so much more. I was like, well, I just have to sort of like condense it as much as I can into like a quick little episode of it. But like that book's really good. You should read it.
I want to read it.
It's like he goes into like these different he like follows like one character after another into like stuff that they're doing. There's a lot of interesting little stories in it.
Were there any other like uprisings throughout the 1800s, or was that 1812 kind of like when they put down the Luddites? Was it kind of the end of it?
I think that was kind of the end of it. I think there's probably one-offs here and there, but as far as like the movement itself as like the Luddites is in that span of a few years, and the state very quickly understood they're like, oh, this is a problem. Like we need to nip this in the bud because this is going to ruin a lot of shit. Like there was not a lot of time between when they started burning factories down to when they made it like a capital
shut it down.
Offense. Yeah, they shut it down very quickly. And I think after that, a lot of people, like you said, they started dying or they're being impoverished. And that's when there's like the mass migrations into the cities because people were like, well, we have to go work in these disgusting giant factories and have Fosse jaw or whatever the hell. Like,
seriously. I wish I knew where the journal was, but the daughter of, or one of my ancestors wrote journals about living in a workhouse in Leeds. Yeah. And how she was 11 and all she wanted to do was go to school and she couldn't.
It's terrible, guys. It doesn't have to be this way. We could both have cool technology that makes everyone's lives better, and also people can make a living wage, and also rich people can still be rich. They just don't need to be trillionaires.
They don't need to be that rich. It's not.
Yeah, exactly.
That's why I think that money is actually like a disease. Like people, like rich people have like their brain changes when they get that much money. They turn into these like, I don't know. They're not human. It's not human. You know, it separates you so much from humanity that you start thinking that you have to have more and more and more and more. It's insane. It's a disease.
Yep. Anyway, shout out to the Luddites.
I'm a Luddite.
Proud Luddite.
Dude.
Proud Luddite.
Seriously.
I loved technology. I don't like the way that technology has been molested, but we still love tech. I used to love so much more of this stuff, and now every single aspect of it's been, infected by this weird, disgusting late stage capitalist disease that's part of all of it in a way that it just is like just for the markets. Like eat shit, die.
Seriously. And I know we usually are way funnier than this, but this is something that's like actually really means a lot to me to talk about.
Yeah.
Like this is and like we talk about before, like we've been watching this happen to our friends and ourselves. Like I haven't, I'm not trying to be like, oh, poor me, because I'm lucky that I still have a career, but like for how much longer am I going to be able to go to conventions and sell my stuff and people buy it? Like, you know what I mean? Like I've watched my friends, the animation industry just falling apart. They all leaving LA. Like it's really bad, you guys. It's really bad, but like it's genuinely like I'm watching it happen. It's been you are too. You can speak to this too with the film industry and all of that. And it's not just AI, but it's like that's part of it. It's part of it.
But again, it's AI is not even the problem of what's ruining the film industry. It's consolidation and business and money,
monopolies,
and essentially kowtowing to the markets and demanding like infinite growth, because that's essentially like how a business keeps making money. And if you're a publicly traded company and you're like, oh, I'm Meta or I'm whoever, and like the only way I can essentially show growth is by continuously laying people off and getting more subscribers or users, then it just leads to exploitation. And the only way they can do that is through amassing as much data as possible and like turning everything into a surveillance state and finding new ways to sell that data and new ways to exploit that data, which gets more and more. Anyway, whatever. I'm going to ramble about this, like I said, for 10 hours.
I think people like it.
I know too much.
I do too. I wish I didn't. No, I think people like this. I'm fine. Just this, unless you're like done, we can be done. But like, I mean,
that's really all I had to say about the. Most importantly, just about the Luddites. I just thought it was like, I'm a proud Luddite.
Yeah,
I don't care. Burn it down, you guys.
I should probably not put that on there. Make some pins that say "Proud Luddite" with a kid smashing.
Proud Luddite would be a good one.
Center. Ooh, that'd be kind of cool. Like an 1800s kid with like, just burning down a data center.
I love it.
No, I really do.
I already have my Godzilla ones.
Oh, that's right. Duh.
I have Godzilla versus AI data centers.
I'm really actually proud of that. Like, why would they weaponize that word? That's an awesome thing to be, a Luddite.
Yeah, it's great. Do it. Become a Luddite, everybody.
I'm not, I don't know. This is so lame to be like some random podcaster who's like not even, I just draw pictures, but like think critically. Like, don't let that be taken from you guys. Like, it's just, first of all, don't trust anybody. No one's out there for your own good. They're all companies, my dad taught me this very young. Never trust them. They will always throw you under the bus, no matter what. Don't ever think that they have your best interest at heart.
Nope.
I don't know.
Anyway, that's my tab on Luddites. Thank you for listening. I think, as always, it seems like this keeps happening. We need to have our closing tab sound be something burning, because that's literally what it is.
2026, man, year of the fire horse. That's what that is. Dude, ever since that tab, I'm like looking around at the world. I'm like, man, it is the year of the fire horse, isn't it? So yeah, we gotta burn it down. But I think we should also have a bunch of wood getting like smashed.
Sure.
I was going to say really quick, Chumbawamba?
Yes.
They mostly do English protest songs that no one ever has heard. So they have a whole album about like this. It all talks like there's a song called Poverty Knock, I think it's called. And it's all about the weaving industry being like an endless slog. Anyway, besides tub thumping, they only sing about English protest songs. Anyway, go on.
Cool. Well, you have to count me down so I can close the tabs.
Oh, right. Okay, ready?
Yep.
3, 2, 1. Ned Ludd. Anyway, time for listener mail. So this one comes in from Stephen from New York. Hi, Stephen.
Hey, Stephen.
And it says, my name is Stephen and I'm from New York. I had the absolute pleasure of being able to meet you guys in person at New York City Comic-Con 2025. And it was pretty awesome. So I wanted to tell you guys about Elmer McCurdy. Elmer McCurdy was this outlaw who died in a police shootout after robbing a train in Oklahoma back in the good old year of 1911. Nice. He wasn't a particularly good robber either. He learned a little bit about explosives during his time in the army and thought that meant he could use that skill to rob places. But too often he either blew things up too little so he didn't get anything, or blew things up too much and destroyed all the cash.
I don't think there's anything as blowing up something too much. It's only just blowing it up too awesome.
Yeah, it's just you just end up having a really cool explosion and no money. Yeah. But hey, anyways, after he died, nobody claimed his body, so his undertaker decided to embalm his body with arsenic while he waited for him to be claimed, and had his body displayed in the funeral home where people could pay a nickel to see the bandit who wouldn't give up. The undertaker eventually gave up Elmer to two people claiming to be Elmer's relatives, but were actually in charge of a traveling carnival. Oh, America. Elmer then went through many different hands, being displayed in all sorts of sideshows, attractions, including being a movie prop, being in the sideshow for the Trans-American Foot Race, and being displayed in a wax museum. Nice. I mean, I'd see it. I'd go look at it. I'd go 100%. Eventually, in 1976, his body was discovered by the production crew of The $6 Million Man, hanging inside the Pike Amusement Zone in Long Beach, California. He was painted entirely red and hanging in the Laugh in the Dark Funhouse. He was soon... Just insane. He was soon positively identified as Elmer McCurdy and buried in Oklahoma under 2 feet of concrete, so he wouldn't be disturbed again. P.S. You don't have to read the P.S. if you don't have time. I'm a transfer from I'm a transfer from musical splaining, and so I actually first heard of Elmer McCurdy from Dead Outlaw, a musical about Elmer's life and death that reads like someone went on a journey through his Wikipedia page and decided to write a musical about it. To the to the point of having a whole song dedicated to the winner of the Trans-American Foot Race, who we don't even know interacted with Elmer's corpse at all. Apologies if this was too long. It wasn't. Sincerely, nope. Stephen from New York.
Thank you, Stephen.
Elmer McCurdy, man. Imagine being hailed as the bandit who wouldn't give up. That's kind of awesome.
Love it. That's a great, and also being immortalized in wax forever and just have my corpse for 200 years or like 100 years just going around from place to place.
And people like paying to see it, or like someone finding you in a fun house. That's awesome.
Yeah. I think if that was the case, if I was made into wax too, I'd want to be part candle. I think that would be fun.
I think so. I think
you'd burn slowly over the
you
course
would burn
of
and melt beautifully. I think it would. Thank you. You know,
very colorful.
It would. Yeah, I would. Look, I'd burn you as a candle.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
A Kaveh candle, or I'm just going
like
this.
Candle, and your thumb just the thumbs up just slowly melts down. Dude.
If you also have a listener email you'd like to send us, please send it to 500opentabs@gmail.com. That's 500. You can follow us on Instagram. We are 500opentabs. We're also on Blue Sky sometimes.
And YouTube.
I'm PermaFriends on Instagram, and I'm Taherian on Blue Sky. Hannah, where can everyone find you?
I'm Hannah Hillam on everything, but I'm mostly on Instagram. And you could follow us on YouTube and Patreon if you want to see some of the extras that we cut out of episodes where we maybe talk about things that aren't great to talk about.
Patreon. Sign up for the Patreon. Leave us comments on the YouTube. Send this to your friends. If you have a friend who's into AI, send this to them, and also stop being friends with them after you send this to them.
Or tell them to grow up and write their own papers.
Try harder.
Try harder. We have the fact. Okay, I'm gonna go on a tiny little. Our brains are actually insane and magnificent, and there's nothing like them on Earth. So why are we offloading all of that to some billionaire's stupid little machine that he built? You know what I mean?
I love. I think Guillermo del Toro was the one who said this, where he's like, if you can't be bothered to write something, then why should I be bothered to read it?
I love that. That is exactly. Yeah, I don't want to look at the clock.
That's how I feel. Yeah, I don't care. In the meantime, sorry, we're gonna say.
No, I was gonna say. Thank you for all the patrons that are already signed up. We really appreciate your help, because it's really keeping this show running for whatever that's worth. So if you want the show to keep going, join Patreon. We'd love that. And what were you going to say?
Oh, I was just going to say, in the meantime, Hannah, thank you for listening about the Luddites. Thank you for listening, you guys. We'll be back next week. And in the meantime, keep the people of Iran in your hearts, obviously, but also
it's just getting worse.
Go write something or draw something or make something bad. Just do it. It's fun.
Use your hands. Make it ugly. Who cares?
Yeah, the uglier the better. We love. Speaking of our Discord's fun. We like to have these fun little drawing prompts. Yeah. In the meantime, Hannah,
keep it Ned Ludd.
Keep it Ned Ludd. I like that. Yeah, fellow Luddites.
Keep it Luddy. Keep it. Keep it Luddy.
Keep it Luddy.
I just genuinely have never been more proud to call myself that. Thank you for teaching me everything. Because I'm like, Because I've always kind of had this little reservation of is that something I can, yes, absolutely.
Lud it up, my friends.
Bye.